One of the things that I've talked to Jodi and Megan about is how important their journalistic objectivity was to them. And I think in writing their book, I think they're conditioned not to think of themselves as the subjects, but as the authors. And this movie really puts them in the spotlight. I think one of the things that does is it allows you to see portions of their life that they felt a little self-conscious about putting in the book, like how they balanced their experiences of motherhood with their work, which really spoke directly to me and made me think about how that balance happens in my own life, what it means to me, how much it means to me to be away from my child, how much my work has to mean for me in order for me to be make those sacrifices, figure those things out, figure childcare out. It was one of the first things I asked Jodi about when I met her is, you know, who's helping you with your childcare? Who's getting dinner on the table? How is that happening? And I think seeing the sort of like nuts and bolts of them building the case alongside with the nuts and bolts of them having their lives, I think it's very special and very moving and portrays an aspect of womanhood that we don't always get to see on screen. On this movie, I felt the responsibility of how, of Jodi and of the New York Times and representing her and her feeling of representing the institution. But even more than that, really, I felt the responsibility of telling these women's stories that had come forward, that had spoken with Jodi and Megan, either on or off the record. And telling that story with integrity, with care. And I really I really wanted to do those women justice. For me, that was a far weightier task than whether or not I got Jodi Kantor right. The thing that I feel, the thing I felt making it, the thing that I feel when I look at the movie is a feeling of like, oh, this could have gone any number of ways. And it's kind of miraculous that they did get this story, that these women did choose to go on the record, that change did happen. I think it's very easy to be like an armchair skeptic and sit there and think, I would have done the right thing. I think it's very, very hard to put yourself out there, to be the first person to go on the record. Also, Harvey Weinstein was an incredibly powerful man and had a machine of intimidation around him and was supported by the whole Hollywood system. Whether or not people understood what his behavior really was, it was a system that supported a monster. And because of that, I think it's very hard to stand up against a whole system. This movie is not about the Me Too movement, and it's not about what happened after this story. It's about how this story was built and about how these two women, these two working mothers, found a way to create an airtight story that they could publish in the New York Times that would affect that kind of change. It's about the bravery of the women who came forward and spoke to them either on or off the record. And it's about a system just beginning to change. That story of a change beginning to happen because of people's dogged hard work and belief that change was possible, I think is a perennial story. I think that we need it now. I think we needed it 5 years ago. I think we'll need it 5 years from now. I feel like it's something that I hold close to my heart, the idea that an action that you take can have long ramifications, that a brave action in particular can have a long tail. And I hope that in particular that women come to see this film and feel themselves represented and feel that speaking truth to power or doing their job really well or speaking up when something happens could be something that is supported and could make a change.